And I saw some new people that joined. If you have any questions as you go along, please feel free to put in the question into the chat box. Thank you. Okay. So today the 30-minute session is focused just purely on how you can retrieve and identify these Q1 to Q4 journals that your professors refer to when they tell you to publish your papers. Okay. I hear some feedback noise. Mute. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So what is the Journal Citation Report? Okay. JCR in short is an annual report that we publish every year. So this report comes out somewhere in the middle of June every year. So now it's actually end of March. So which means to say that the current journal citation reports is the 2019 journal citation reports that issues the 2018 impact factor. Okay. Another thing to note about the journal citation reports is that it only covers the science citation index expanded and the social science citation index. So a lot of times the researchers will ask me, but my subject area is in arts and humanities. So where can I find these Q1 journals in arts and humanities? What I would suggest you to do is, because there's a lot of humanities subjects that are also published in social sciences journals, so there's cross-discipline topics available. Use the social sciences journals as your point of reference. Okay, so do remember, for journal citation reports, any journals that have impact factor will come from only the science and social sciences citation indexes. Okay. The other thing that sets us apart for journal citations reports is that the company Clarivate Analytics is not a publisher. So in terms of rights to the journals, we are not a publisher, therefore we do not have the rights to any of the journals. Okay, I seem to be hearing some feedback noise. Please ensure that you are muted so that we don't disturb the other participants who joined the session. All right. So because we are not a publisher, we do not have a hidden agenda to promote any of our journals to have high impact factor. Okay, and at the same time, because it's an annual report, every year we will look through the list of journals that are indexed currently in journal citation reports, and if we realize that they have predatory habits or they are not peer reviewed, okay, we will reevaluate them, and if they indeed are predatory or they do not meet the impact criteria that we set out, then they will be removed from the journal citation reports list. Okay. So just a quick overview of the Web of Science core collection so that you are aware of the differences. So if you refer to Web of Science platform, if you go to webofscience.com and you look at the journals within Web of Science, this covers the Web of Science core collection that would include the Emerging Sources Citation Index, the Science Citation Index, Social Science, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index. But not all the indexes here have journals that have impact factor. Okay. So only the science and the social science will have an impact factor. So if your professor says, oh, you need to publish in a journal that is indexed in Web of Science, but does not necessarily need to have an impact factor, then you can choose a journal that is in ESCI, SCIE, SSCI, or AHCI. Okay? But if it's specifically mentioned that you need to publish in a journal that has an impact factor, you can only choose journals from here, these two. Okay? So these are the 24 quality criteria and impact criteria that every journal needs to fulfill in order to be indexed in the Web of Science. For journals that want to have an impact factor, they will need to fulfill 28 criteria in total, meaning 24 quality criteria and another 4 impact criteria. If they do not fulfill any one of this, they will not be given an impact factor. Okay? So within each discipline or each subject area in JCR, we have different number of journals. Okay? We have at least around 250 or so subject categories in JCR at the moment. And within each category, there are a few hundred journals or even less. Okay? But every year, the number of journals within these categories tend to stay more or less the same. What does this mean? It means that the journals on this list can get kicked out if their performance is weaker than newer journals that are coming into JCR in that given year. Okay? So why does this number of journals matter? Because this is how we determine the quartiles for that subject category of journals. Okay? So let's say, for example, in one subject category or one discipline, let's say in medicine, there are 100 journals. We will rank the 100 journals in terms of impact factor, with the highest impact factor at the top and the lowest impact factor at the bottom. And we will chop this list into exactly 4 parts. Okay? What this means would be the top 25% of impact factor in this discipline of medicine. Okay? Journals in the top 25% will be Q1 journals, followed by Q2, Q3, and Q4. Okay? So in terms of where you can aim to publish your paper, my suggestion is to aim for at least a Q2 or Q3. The reason is, as what I've mentioned multiple times earlier on, any journal that is in this subject category, if they are lowest in rank in terms of impact factor, there is a chance for them to be kicked off the list the following year. So some of you might say, oh, I published in Q4 journal. And then suddenly, when the new impact factors came out, this journal did not have impact factor anymore. Why? The reason is because it was kicked off because of weak impact factor in the first place. Okay? So ideally, aim for at least a Q2 or Q3 if you want your publication to be in a quartile impact factor journal. So in order to browse for the journal, okay, you access journal citation reports through your library's website. Okay. At this point, I'm going to pause and go into the live platform to show you. Okay, but I'll just have a quick check to see whether you have any questions. Okay. All right, no questions at the moment. Okay. So in order to access journal citation report on your university's library's homepage, I hope all of you have your own easy proxy login for remote access to your library. Okay, you just go to patron login, sign in with your user login, and once you get that, once you've logged in here, okay, go to e-resources. And you can look for Web of Science, or you can browse for Science and Technology and look for Web of Science here as well. Okay. From here, you will link into Web of Science first. Okay. And you will see journal citation reports here on the top black color bar. And you link through to journal citation reports. And this would be the page that would appear for you. So how do you identify the journals within your subject category? Okay, you can click to browse by subject area, browse by category. As you can see here, this is the full list of 236 subject disciplines. Okay, you can sort this in terms of alphabetical order by clicking on the word category and look for the subject category that you are in. So let's say, for example, I am in biology. Okay, there are 87 biology journals in the Science Citation Index. Okay, so if I want the list of 87 journals in biology, click on 87. Okay, and this would be the list of 87 biology journals. So these journals, this 87 would be your Q1 to Q4 journals. And you can download this for your own reference here. So there's a download button here. Okay. The next thing you might want to identify is out of this 87, I only want to see Q1 journals. On the left bar here, left column here, you will see JIF quartile. Click on JIF quartile. Click on Q1. Okay, and click Submit. And you can see here on the right, the number of journals now goes down to 21. So these 21 are your Q1 journals in biology. And again, you can download this list here and save it for your own reference. You can do this for each individual quartile by doing the same thing that I've done just now. Untick Q1, select Q2, and submit. And this would be a new list of Q2 journals that you want to download for your own reference. Okay. I'm going to show this step again for the benefit of those who have just arrived. Okay. If you want to identify the list of journals in your subject category, go to Browse by Category. Okay. Sort this in alphabetical order so that you can see all the subject areas in alphabetical order. Let's say you want to look at biodiversity this time. Click on this number 59 to get the list of 59 journals. Okay, you can download this list of 59, and this 59 includes Q1 to Q4 journals. If you only want a particular list of journals in a specific queue, go to GIF quartile here on the left, select the queue, click Submit, and this list of 14 are your Q1 journals in biodiversity conservation, and you can download this for your own reference. Okay. Now I have some questions in the chat box that I will address now. Does this also apply to Scopus Index journals? Okay, no. So this quartile only applies to Web of Science journals that are indexed in Science Citation Index Expanded and Social Science Citation Expanded. The quartile that you see in Web of Science JCR, Journal Citation Reports, could be different from the quartile that you see in Scopus, purely because we index different number of journals. So remember, I mentioned about how we rank the quartiles. So what we do is, based on the number of journals in a specific discipline, we will slice this into 4. So that because different databases index different number of journals, this total number of journals will be different. And when the total number of journals are different, where you slice this into 4 is also different. So sometimes there would be a journal that is a Q1 journal in, say, Scopus, but in Web of Science, JCR, it's a Q2. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, so the next question is the quartile in JCR have the same level as in Scopus? I think I've just addressed that question. I hope that answer is clear to everyone. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Because today's session is very fast. It's purely just to help you to identify your Q1 and your Q1 to Q4 journals very quickly from journal citation reports. Okay, since we have some time, I can actually show you where you can find journals that are indexed in Web of Science in total. Okay, I know you have access to Web of Science, okay, but from the Web of Science database, it's not always clear to see all the journals in Web of Science. So the other website you can go to is called MJL, Master Journal List.clarivate.com. So this is our master journal list, which would show you all the journals that are indexed in Web of Science. And from here, you can click on Search Journals. Okay. And if you want to see journals that are in science, social science, arts, humanities, or emerging sources, you can then click here to refine the search to a list of journals that are in Emerging Sources Citation Index. Okay, so this page, mjl.clarivate.com, is where you can go to find all journals that are indexed in Web of Science. All right, and journal citation reports, this would be a list of journals that are only in Science and Social Science Citation Index that will have impact factor. Okay, now I have another question. From a search paper in WAS, how can we filter those papers only for Q1? That's a very good question. So from Web of Science, there is currently there's no way for you to sort or search for the paper based on quartiles. The only way is on an article by article level. So let's say, for example, if you're on Web of Science now and you search for marine pollution, okay, when you go to one record here, so I'm waiting for it to fully load first. Okay, so you see one record here. If this is the journal, you can click on the journal and you can see that this journal is a Q1, therefore this article is Q1. So as of now, you will not be able to export the quartile information using the export function here. Okay, it has to be done manually, and you cannot search by quartile. All right, I hope that answers your question. All right. Is there any other questions that we have? Okay, if not, this would be the other. Okay, we have one question here. How difficult to publish in Q1 paper in WAS? that is the golden question, right, for everyone. How difficult is it to publish in Q1 paper in WAS? I would say it is not impossible. Okay, it is not impossible if you know how to identify some of the research topics that would appeal to that particular Q1 journal that you want to target. Okay, in my next session, which is happening on the 31st of March next week, okay, I'm actually going to share with you some tips on how to identify good journals from Web of Science that will be suitable for your manuscript, and that will also help you to identify what are some of the things that a Q1 journal looks for when accepting papers. Okay, when you mention about Q1 to Q4, when a journal is no longer listed in Q4, for example, will it still be listed in SCI or it will be moved to ESCI? Okay, so if a journal is removed from Q4, it will drop into ESCI again. So it will remain in ESCI until the day when the journal impact factor meets the criteria that we have again before it moves back into JCR. Okay, so it will not be kicked off Web of Science totally. It will just be moved back into ESCI. Okay, now sometimes on journal citation reports, you might see some duplicate journals. So I'm going to give you an example here. Refresh. Okay. So computing stand. Okay, so if you can see here on the screen, there are two computer standards and interfaces. The reason is because the publisher has changed the ISSN of this original journal. So if you go into this first one, you can see that the impact factor stopped at 2017. Okay, 2017 was the last time they had an impact factor. But in actual fact, this journal, okay, if you click on the second one, it is actually still on the list of impact factors. So just be careful when you're looking at the list of journals here on JCR. If you see that one particular journal doesn't seem to have any new impact factor, it may or may not mean that it has dropped out of the list. Okay? Do a little bit of investigation to see whether there's a history behind it. And of course, if you're still not sure, my email address is there. You can always ask me to verify. All right. Alternatively, on the master journal list, mjl.clarivate.com, you can search for the journal again and see whether it's still within the Web of Science collection that has an impact factor. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Right. So now this is the end of my sharing for this second session. So about how to identify your Q1 to Q4 journals for your specialization. I hope that you can start using journal citation reports. I know the access seems a bit convoluted because you need to go through the easy proxy and then go to Web of Science and JCR. But because you are now working remotely, because of the situation, this is how it has to be for now. Okay, if you have any access issues, please email me and I will check with the library. Or if you know the contact email of your library, please write an email to them and ask them. Okay. One final question before we go. Okay, there's one question that just came in. How many years can we consider when looking for impact factor? I am assuming that you're asking how many years does this journal has to have an impact factor before you find that it's a reliable data. I would say give it 2 years, I would say. But of course, it depends on which quartile this journal is in when it has an impact factor. So duration is one factor you consider, okay, whether it's been there for a while already or it's new. If it's new, is it sitting in Q2 or Q3 or Q4? If it's new and sitting in Q4, it could be dangerous, okay, but if it's new and sitting in Q2, it is a bit more reliable. So it very much depends on other metrics that you see around that journal, and I will share those indicators and metrics with you in the next session on the 31st of March. Okay, so I hope you found this session useful. The session has been recorded, and I will share this across to all that have attended today. Okay, and please join us for the next 2 sessions. If you have registered and attended more than 2 sessions, you will stand a chance to win some exclusive giveaways from Clarivate. That includes a wireless Clarivate Analytics mouse. All right. So thank you for your kind attention. And before we go, this is my email address, Julin, dju-lyn.chng@clarivate.com. Drop me an email after today if you have more questions, and stay safe. All right. Thank you, everyone.